A new Congress is sworn into office, and after a dramatic vote, a leader is chosen.
I do.
Congratulations, Mr. Speaker.
Now, Democrats are coming in as the minority. We're talking with a prominent congressman from the Bay Area.
Typically, when you're in the minority, the mantra is you just go to Washington and you vote no. This last 2 years was exactly the opposite.
As President-elect Donald Trump faces sentencing for his felony conviction, we're taking the pulse on Capitol Hill.
This is CBS News Bay Area with Elizabeth Cook.
I'm Ann Makovec, and with the new year, there is a new era beginning in the nation's capital, led by Republicans. Of course, Donald Trump set to become president again, and the GOP has the majority in both the House and the Senate. We're talking to Bay Area Congressman Eric Swalwell about how Democrats are going to try to navigate things in D.C. and what that all means for us back here in California. The first day of the new Congress brought an immediate challenge, electing the Speaker of the House. And in a bit of a twist, current Speaker and frontrunner Mike Johnson did not get enough votes in the initial tally, yet he did still manage to win on the first vote. CBS's Ndia Cavazos explains how that happened.
The new Congress was called to order at noon with an immediate task at hand, electing the Speaker of the House.
The name of the Honorable Mike Johnson.
President-elect Trump endorsed Johnson this week in his fight to keep his job. Conference Chair Lisa McClain made the case for the Louisiana Republican.
He is steadfast in his values of faith, family, and love of this country.
Alford Johnson.
Then came the pivotal vote, and Johnson failed to get a majority. After a brief break, since the initial vote hadn't been officially tallied yet, South Carolina Representative Ralph Norman and Keith Self from Texas were convinced to change their votes.
Mr. Self Johnson.
Bringing Johnson a win.
The Honorable Mike Johnson of the state of Louisiana, having received a majority of the votes cast, is duly elected Speaker of the House of Representatives for the 119th Congress.
The path of prosperity has long been paved with policies that put America and Americans first. And that is what we will champion in the 119th Congress.
No other business could unfold until the Speaker was chosen, with a slim margin of only a couple possible defections to ensure re-election. Republicans now control both chambers of Congress for the first time since 2019. Donald Trump promises an ambitious list of changes with the help of lawmakers.
We need to unify so that we can move the Trump agenda.
Next week brings the certification of Trump's White House win.
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries was also re-elected in his role.
That you will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which you are about to enter, so help you God.
I do.
Vice President Kamala Harris, they're opening the Senate for the 119th Congress with the ceremonial swearing in of a dozen new members, and that comes as the GOP takes control of the upper chamber. California Senator Adam Schiff was sworn in today for a full 6-year term. Meanwhile, Capitol Police are preparing for 3 high-profile events in the coming weeks. On Monday, January 6th, election results are certified. Former President Carter's state funeral is on the 9th, and the presidential inauguration and surrounding activities, including a Trump rally, coming up on the 20th. Earlier today, Capitol Police addressed the possibility of a repeat attack on the Capitol.
We need to be prepared for that as much as we need to be prepared for anything. There are several permitted demonstrations. There's some chatter about some other folks and conspiracy theorists, talking about, well, if this happens, we need to be at the Capitol, those kinds of things. But again, no indication that that hotels are filling up with these people, that these people are traveling to D.C.
The Biden administration also has started inauguration security, and they've stated, rather, that inauguration security remains a top priority. Still ahead, East Bay Congressman Eric Swalwell signaling hope for the new political term. We're going to hear his thoughts on working across the aisle as Republicans take over Capitol Hill and the White House. As we've been talking about, a busy day on Capitol Hill as a new Congress convened for the first time. There was a little drama on the House floor with the vote on the new Speaker taking over an hour. Earlier, I spoke with East Bay Congressman Swalwell about how it all went down and his hopes for this new term.
Fortunately, a speaker was elected so we can start, to do the work that, the American people and my constituents sent us to do. But that doesn't make me too optimistic about keeping the government open, paying our bills, bringing down the costs for my constituents and what we have to do ahead. And by the way, we just suffered through a pretty serious terrorist attack in New Orleans. We're very vulnerable to another one. And, unity is the best antidote. And you didn't really see that today.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of just some of the conversations that I saw going on behind the scenes, it just feels like there's a major high school vibe in the Congress right now.
Yeah, it is a first day of school vibe, and it's an exciting vibe. This is my 7th time, believe it or not, being sworn in. I was sent there as a child, it feels like. But it still has that special feel of, you're the representative, to the people you grew up with, the people, who, are from where you call home, and people who are counting on you. And it's a privilege to be there. But to see Republicans not even be able to agree among themselves to pick their own speaker when they do have, united government right now, it does make me nervous as far as what we have to do for our constituents in the next 2 years.
And of course, Republicans have control of both the House and the Senate now. How are Democrats going to operate trying to get things done with that sort of, handicap?
Yeah, well, we're united. You saw that in the last 2 years, even though we were in the minority, and you'll see that again. And so if they want to work with us to bring down the cost of prescription drugs, if they want to reduce the time people spend in traffic, if they want to make housing more affordable, raise wages, reduce gun violence, we're going to be there. And typically when you're in the minority, the mantra is you just go to Washington and you vote no. This last 2 years was exactly the opposite. Every vote of consequence, the majority of the votes came from the minority party, the Democrats, because we're in the solutions business. And so I expect, again, as you see Republicans in disarray and waiting, for Elon Musk to send a tweet to tell them how they're allowed to vote, we'll be united. And I hope that competence means something to our constituents.
All right, with Donald Trump back in the Oval Office, I know your relationship with him has been fairly adversarial. You were a big part of the impeachment hearings against him. Your feelings on dealing with him again at the top of the ticket there?
Yeah, as far as Donald Trump, I'm rooting for him to succeed, because if he succeeds, everyone I represent succeeds. And that means, first and foremost, protecting the country. And if he's serious about wanting to secure the border, he'll find a partner in me and many Democrats who want to help him on that. But if he's just going to demonize the issue of immigration and blame, immigrants for, terrorist attacks, as he did earlier this week, we're not going to solve, the crisis that we have at the border. We're not going to fill the jobs we need to fill with legal immigration here, and we're going to be more vulnerable to attacks. And so I will be a partner, and I can put aside, the last 2 impeachments that I was a part of, because he was elected president, and I want to be constructive. And so I'll be rooting for him to succeed, Ann.
Okay, and we know that he's threatened to withhold funds from California if we do this or don't do that. Is that something that we should be concerned about?
Look, we should be a part of an effort to try and secure the border as best as possible. We should also, though, fight for the workforce crisis that we have, where in hospitality and restaurant jobs and agricultural jobs, where we're the largest, agriculture producing state in the country, that there's a shortage of labor, and that the costs that we pay for all of those goods and services goes way up if there's a shortage of labor. And so we need a legal immigration system that is also broken. And so we can fix the border. We can have a legal immigration system. And if he's going to be punitive, though, he's not going to, find the partners that he needs. And so, I think California should stand for those values of security, but also recognizing the workforce crisis that we face in our state.
Any other big issues that you really want to see tackled during this Congress?
Look, gun violence, continues, to be an epidemic across America. And students, like my children, go through too many mass shooter drills. And parents are frustrated. And I really do believe that as Democrats, we cower or we shrink on that issue because we fear it's not a popular issue because Republicans will make a lot of noise about it. But when you look at the polling and you see that 80% of gun-owning Republicans want background checks, I actually don't think we're loud enough on that issue. And so I will continue as a former prosecutor and a parent of little kids, fight for ending gun violence. And I hope we get louder about that, not more quiet.
But first things first, now that the House Speaker was elected today, the 119th Congress is going to move on to other matters, including the counting of the Electoral College votes on Monday. Thanks for watching. You can always get all the latest headlines and weather over on Pix Plus. And remember to like and click the button on the bottom left of your screen to subscribe for the biggest Bay Area news.